So it sounds like you really you focus a lot on abortion, and I personally consider myself pro-life. I mean, I would never, ever have an abortion, but I guess politically I'm pro-choice, and my roommate says that I'm just like wishy-washy, and I'm just all over the map on this issue. Can I still be a member, and do you even want me in your group?
Yes, we would love to have you in our group. It's not just about abortion or the right to choose an abortion, but it's the right to access for contraception, for emergency contraception, for advocating a healthy attitude, fostering a healthy attitude about sexuality and about healthy choices one can make about their own sexuality. So we would love to have you in our group.
Thanks.
Yes.
You seem to have done a great job in linking reproductive rights and the environment, but this group is called SYRF, Spiritual Youth Reproductive Freedom. So I'm wondering how exactly religion fits into this picture.
The environments that most people grow up in they've somehow grown up in a church, a synagogue, or a congregation of some kind, and it's very integral to their being, to their background. And also, when talking about pro-choice issues, it's usually associated with secularists and it's divorced from from religious institutions, because a lot of people understand that if you're pro-choice, then you are anti-religion. But it's important to recognize that all these different faith traditions advocate basic human rights, especially the rights of women as moral agencies as well.
And you talked a lot about religious institutions, but like I don't really go to church anymore, and I don't really feel comfortable. And like I still believe in God, but I don't really feel comfortable in a structured religious environment. Is there still room for me in this organization?
It doesn't just encompass going to a physical place, a physical building, but interacting with that type of moral philosophy that you personally advocate and believe in, and also bringing that and showing that to the rest of the world, not just sitting in Mass or sitting in the pews, every single Sunday, but interacting and advocating that type of moral philosophy.
So what kind of stuff do you guys do?
Well, we table at campuses, and we raise awareness for students to give them the message that you can also be spiritual and pro-choice at the same time. And that those two are not in opposition with each other. That also activism as well, spreading the message to other fellow students that you can be pro-choice and religious, but also fostering a healthy view on contraception, on our moral agency as human beings to make the right decision that's best for us. And also holding conferences, panel discussions, bringing in scholars and clergy to talk about this issue to campuses and just to spread the word out. And our main purpose is to educate. If we educate, then people can make informed decisions for themselves. Thank you very much. I've enjoyed speaking with you all this afternoon. I hope you'll have a great day.
Okay, before you take off the mic, how did you feel?
I really wasn't expecting linking environmental justice with reproductive justice, but I very quickly put the two together and okay, what do they have in common? What is it? What is the main idea of this point? Also, knowing the precepts and the principles of SYRF and just constantly repeating them helped give me a structure, even though I came up here and kind of didn't have one, but that's what it initially set a structure for me, was just the mission, and knowing that you can, repeating it helps people learn.
I think the whole idea of a one word, summing up, SYRF is X, whatever that is really good in terms, it's almost like a topic sentence for everything else. And I think that was a little missing a little bit, and that might actually help with the whole framing of the thing and might make you feel a little more comfortable. Yeah.
Because the messaging around population control is sort of a whole other very delicate place that I'm sure when Sierra Club came to Oberlin, you kind of learned a little bit about the fact that when we talk about these things, the rights to have children and the rights to not have children are pretty much paramount to the organizations that we're all representing.
We didn't have to do any like sort of tabling event on that, but people would ask us questions, what does sex have to do with the environment, stuff like that. And I think I brought up population control, but I would emphasize, draw attention away from the word control. You're talking about like women's choice and emphasizing that women do have the right to have children, to not have children, etc.
I feel like also focusing on the fact that it's like personal control over whether or not you have children. It's like personal population control, in the fact that like you choose whether or not you have children, and if you can afford them, and if you like can risk the rainforest, like that sort of thing. As opposed to like the government should put this in place to keep population down, things like that. Yeah, the people that were there were very receptive.
And it's not about like government choosing what we can and
right,
cannot do.
It's about government giving you the choice to choose what you can and cannot do.
There's a really great resource that we've developed since this partnership with the Sierra Club. My colleague Matthew Fox has put a presentation together. So it's a partnership between Spiritual Youth for Reproductive Freedom and the Sierra Club, and it was presented for the first time at Bryn Mawr College. We got a lot of great feedback from it, and it really puts together some of the things that Amy was touching on, but because there was obviously a lot more time, we were able to flesh out the themes much more significantly. Just to get back to some of the sort of messaging techniques that we were talking about, I thought that the presentation was wonderful. I walked away with a lot of great, real, concrete connections. The one thing that I just always sort of talk about in terms of grassroots organizing, and if anyone's in a similar situation when you're in front of a group, I always want to make sure people walk away with an action. So whether it be to send you an email, to sign up for your mailing list, to take a flyer, just sort of like a more information plug, which is more of, it's not so much about messaging, it's more like the organizing type of work that we do, but those are things that you will hear me pushing all the time. And I carry around a clipboard and a sign-up sheet in my bag at all times, and business cards, so that people can get my information and I can take theirs, so that this sort of exchange of information doesn't stop at that particular moment.
So I think one other thing to follow on that. So the way you constructed your presentation was much more sophisticated than I thought it was going to be when I put the scenario down, because I thought the person who got this assignment would just stand up and sort of introduce SYRF and then say, can I take some questions? So what you did was you actually set it up like the problem, solution, action thing. And then, as Emily said, you just needed to add the action, because you connected the problem as depletion of resources, so you connected the economic justice with the environmental justice with reproductive justice, and then offered SYRF as the solution. So SYRF promotes conversations about these two things in conjunction with Sierra Club, and conversation leads to education, blah, blah, blah. And then so the action could have been, so join us, and in these activities that we have, and if you want to learn more information. So you really already took the messages that we worked with and then transitioned them to that problem, solution, action format for the purposes of this discussion. So that was great.
We're at a rally. A nearby participant, that's me, approaches some SYRF organizers that are holding up signs that are obviously part of Spiritual Youth for Reproductive Freedom. Everyone got it? Can I get some rally noises? Some buttons. You guys are really all over with this purple, like, swirly logo, and I'm just not really sure why it says spiritual and what does that mean. And I thought you couldn't be spiritual and pro-choice, and that's crazy. What do you mean by that?
Oh, well, well, we just believe that, spiritual and religious people need to be incorporated into the discussion on reproductive rights for various reasons. We're Spiritual Youth for Reproductive Freedom. We're a campus group. We organize on campus to unite individuals in discussion and activism on pro-choice issues. And we try to just incorporate people of all faiths, all spiritualities. You can be agnostic, you can be atheist, and still have a respect for people who are